Welcome back to the Publishing Push YouTube channel, the channel where we aim to make you a better author by giving you tools, tips, inspiration, and advice for your writing. In today's video, I'm going to give you 6 tips from author Zadie Smith. 5 of them I agree with, 1 of them I disagree with. You can of course give me your views and opinions in the comments below. Before we dig in, please do make sure to like the video, subscribe, notification bell on, you know the drill by now. Okay, let's get into it. The first quote from Zadie Smith is, "Work on a computer that is disconnected from the internet." That is fantastic writing advice. There is nothing more distracting than, the email that pops up, the Slack message that comes through, the Instagram notification, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. There is a way for all of us to either distract ourselves, procrastinate and just ultimately not get down to writing, or it comes in the form of, let me do this quick bit of research, and before you know it, 5 minutes later, you're back on Facebook or you're on YouTube. Don't switch off this video, of course. Stay and watch these. These are helping you become a better writer. So I think this one is fantastic, advice. If you can, disconnect from the internet, just remove all those distractions so you can really focus on your writing. The next quote from Zadie Smith is, "Protect the time and space in which you write. Keep everybody away from it, even the people who are most important to you." And that is a really good, solid piece of advice. You need to ring fence that time to focus on it. We have time where we go to work. From 9 to 5, we're at work and we have to get on with our work, which is what most of us have to do. And the same should be true for your writing. So even if writing is not your main source of income yet, you have to treat it like it is. So you have to set aside that hour where everybody else just, they can't bother you during that period. They have to look after themselves, get on with the, what they need to do. They can't bother you, ask you questions, get you to help out with things. So really make sure you have that set time. I think that's invaluable advice. And ultimately, if they really love you, care about you, they're going to want you to be successful with your writing. So set that time aside. The next quote from Zadie Smith is, "Try to read your work as a stranger would read it, or even better, as an enemy would." This is so important for when it comes to editing your work. Think about how harsh your enemy would be if they were editing your work. They would be incredibly harsh. They would really give it to you and really let you know exactly what they thought. And so you have to have that same approach when you go over your writing. When you're first getting the draft done, just write it, get it out, get it done. But the editing process, you have to be so harsh with yourself. If you're thinking, am I being too harsh? You're probably not being harsh enough. So I think that's a really good guiding principle. What would my enemies say? Fortunately, I don't have any that I'm aware of, but if I did, that's what I'd be thinking is, what would my enemies be saying if they were reading this? They'd be picking it apart. That wouldn't be good enough. This would be terrible, So really use that perspective when you're editing. It'll help you to be as, harsh as you need to be. Also, an addition on that point is, for those of you who have worked with an editor, you might feel like they are your enemy at times because they will tell you exactly what they think, but that's their job. They are paid to be your enemy. The next quote I like from Zadie Smith is, "Don't romanticize your vocation. You can either write good sentences or you can't. There is no writer's lifestyle. All that matters is what you leave on the page." And again, we see this a lot. You've probably seen this on countless Twitter threads. People over-analyzing writing as a vocation, over-analyzing, writing, publishing industry. There's no end of discussion around many of these things. And ultimately, as Zadie says, you can either write good sentences or you can't. It's really that simple. If you can, fantastic, crack on with writing. If you can't, then invest in your craft, invest in learning to get better at writing. I myself just did a writing course. I'm constantly looking to improve my writing. We can always get better at things. And that's really, what this quote is about. So don't worry too much about the writer's lifestyle and get too caught up in that discussion. Spend your time getting better at writing and spend your time writing. Quote number 5 from Zadie that I really like is, "But the problem with readers, the idea we're given of reading, is that the model of a reader is the person watching a film or television program. So the greatest principle is, I should sit here and I should be entertained." This quote's a little bit confusing when you first read it, but if you unpack it, what she's saying is we often approach writing in a similar vein to if someone is sat watching a television show or a film. And ultimately, I think what she's getting at, comment below if you have a different view on this, is that we are more lenient with a film or television. I know I am, because often I'll put TV on in the evening or a film after a long day, and I'm really just trying to unwind. I'll watch something and be like, yeah, that was okay, it wasn't perfect, but there's so little effort involved with television and film that, often it can just be background. If have a friend round or whatever it is, you'll just put it on in the background. Reading is very difficult. Reading is very different. Can be difficult for some people. Reading is very different because there is effort involved. There's a lot more effort involved when you read something than there is just, when you're vegged on the sofa just watching whatever nonsense on TV. Think about that when you're writing. You have to make it easy for people to get in, but it also has to be really entertaining. So if you think about it, TV is probably here, film may be around here. To make a book entertaining and to keep people there reading the whole thing, the bar is really, really high. So that's what you want to keep in mind, and that's what I think she's getting at here. Quote number 6, and the final one from Zadie Smith that I disagree with, is she says, "Learning how to be a good reader is what makes you a good writer." I disagree with this because I don't think just being a good reader is enough to be a good writer. Not even close. So I heavily disagree with that comment. Let me know your thoughts. Writing for me is something I've always really had to work on, even though I really enjoy reading. I used to read a huge amount when I was younger. I went to law school for a little while as well and did a huge amount of reading there, so I'm no stranger to reading. Definitely didn't mean that my writing was good. If anything, my writing was not great, and it's something I really had to work on. So that's my view on that quote. Let me know what you thought. If you are interested in learning more about book marketing, we are running a 2-day book marketing course to help make marketing your book much easier and improve your sales. The link is below. We have talks from indie authors who've been there, done it, and achieved book sales, bestseller rankings. We also have social media experts, and I will be talking as well. Have a look there. If you haven't done so already, please do give that like button a whack, and we will see you in the next video.